One of the female hostages wasn't playing along. The robber wanted to make an example out of her. Right there, in front of everyone. He violated her in the worst way. Everyone was absolutely shocked. Wait, wasn't this just a drill? So, a few days earlier, traffic cop Away flagged down a car breaking the rules. Turns out, the driver was the newly appointed chief. Away's the kind of guy who plays it straight and enforces the law by the book. Way issued a ticket to welcome the new chief, and just a few days later, the chief summoned him for a chat over tea. The moment he entered the office, Way confidently blurted out, "The law treats everyone equally. Writing tickets is just my job." The chief chuckled. "Relax, I'm not the grudge-holding type. I've only been in office for a short while, you know, and there've been a ton of robberies in the city lately. People are totally on edge because of it. As the chief, this is a huge embarrassment for me. That's why I've decided to organize a mock bank robbery. No scripts, no practice runs. We're keeping it as real as it gets. We're inviting all the big media outlets for a live broadcast. We'll show the public just how good we are at catching criminals. And guess what? You're going to be the robber. Make sure you take this role seriously, just like how serious you were when you handed me that fine." Wow, the chief sure knows how to hold a grudge. He saw this acting gig as the perfect chance to publicly humiliate Way in front of the media, to get revenge for that stupid traffic ticket. But he had no idea that casting Way as the robber would turn out to be his biggest regret ever. In the days before the drill started, the cops and bank staff involved didn't take it seriously at all. They figured it was just going to be a routine drill. But Way? He wasn't like the others. He's known for being ridiculously stubborn. If he's in, he's all in, it's perfect or nothing. First thing he did? Scout out the bank. He studied every inch of the bank's layout. He mapped out exactly where the cameras were watching. Next, he binge-watched robbery videos like it was Netflix. He even studied a robber's handbook like it was a college exam. And before long, the drill day arrived. The bank was already prepped with 2 undercover cops waiting inside. Their mission? Wait for the robbers to show up. That's when Away showed up. He walked directly up to the counter. He pulled out a passbook and flashed it to the teller. On the passbook was a single line of text. "Hi there, I'm a robber. Stay calm and don't make a sound. Quickly, put the money in the bag." The teller knew it was just a drill. Naturally, she didn't hand over the cash. She secretly pushed the alarm button. The alarm signal was triggered. A plainclothes officer walked in, pretending to be a regular customer. Way instantly noticed the gun on the guy's waist, raised his own weapon, and fired. Oh my god. The crowd froze in shock. Wait a second, wasn't this just a drill? Why is someone actually being killed? Relax, it's not real. That was just a hypothetical scene. But what if this isn't a drill? The plainclothes officer would actually be dead. So now he has to play dead on the ground. Stay in a dead state. Away pulled a gun and took everyone hostage. He even took away all their phones. He slapped hostage labels on everyone, meaning they were tied up and couldn't make any sudden moves. The police station got the report pretty quickly. The drill participants rushed out, totally pumped, with cameras from every media outlet pointed at them. The chief confidently told everyone, "Don't worry, we got this. Catching bad guys and saving hostages? That's our specialty." Before long, the bank was completely surrounded. The chief secretly called Away. "The special forces will be there in 30 minutes. Make sure they don't catch you." The chief wanted Away to get caught by the chief himself. That way, he'd save face. But Away, stubborn as ever, had no clue about the underlying message. All he wanted was to live up to the chief's expectations. To pull off the perfect heist, you'd make sure no one could catch you. So, he shut the bank doors tight. He drew the curtains and covered the security cameras, leaving the police completely blind to what's happening inside. The chief immediately freaked out. This just made capturing him a lot tougher. He hurriedly called Way for help. "It's just a drill, man. No need to take it this seriously. Hurry up, open the door already." But Way responded, "I've already done my homework. This is exactly what professional robbers do when they're surrounded. Relax, chief. I've got this. Don't worry, I'll make it look totally real. I'm not picking up your calls anymore. It'll make me look unprofessional." The chief was about to lose it. Then, a hostage suddenly asked a question. "Hey, I've got a quick question. Sure, it's just acting, but shouldn't it still make sense? You're saying we're all tied up and can't fight back. But you're the only robber here. Weren't you worried we'd fight back while you were tying us up? You didn't tie me up yourself. I told you to use the rope and tie everyone up. Then tie up your own feet. And finally, cuff yourself with Officer Wu's handcuffs. Oh, and while you're doing all that, I'm gonna keep this gun aimed right at you. This way, I won't even have to lift a finger. And I can tie you all up without breaking a sweat. He went over the whole plan again. By now, one of the hostages, a woman, was losing her patience. Come on, it's clearly just a drill. Why act like it's the real deal? She ripped off her tag and started yelling to leave. Wei noticed her. Looks like she doesn't even see me as a real robber. Oh, she thinks I won't actually do anything, huh? Ouch. That hit could probably leave her face swollen. But Wei was just faking it, he wasn't really hitting her. And then they went ahead and slapped an unconscious tag on her. Seriously? Hitting a woman? Really? The undercover cop, who was supposed to be dead, just got up like nothing happened. He charged in and snatched Wei's gun while the guy wasn't paying attention. Haha, you thought I was dead? Nope, not quite. Guess what? I had a bulletproof vest on. You lose. Game over. But then, out of nowhere, a kid stood up and said, "Bulletproof vests? They're useless. He literally just shot you in the head." Yeah, I saw it too. It was definitely a headshot. No way that's possible. But I swear, he hit my body, not my head. Everyone was arguing their own version of what happened. To make sense of it all, they pulled up the surveillance footage to see what really happened. Oh, turns out he really did get hit in the head. The undercover guy just sighed and flopped back into position. The SWAT team was closing in fast. The chief was starting to freak out. If the SWAT team comes in, they'll take all the glory. Wait, there's an undercover lady cop among the hostages. She's literally a martial arts champion. Taking down a robber? That's child's play for her. And sure enough, back in the bank, the lady cop asked to use the restroom. And out of nowhere, bam. She ambushed him from behind. Right then, the cops were like, wait, Wei's a boxing champ. So maybe he wouldn't lose after all. Meanwhile, they're busy arguing, what's tougher, martial arts or boxing? Wei didn't even blink, he took down the lady cop with one shot. Obviously, the gun was doing all the talking. Both undercover cops didn't make it, they were taken out. Outside the bank, the SWAT team was already on standby, ready to roll. Though he hated the idea, to stop the situation from spiraling into chaos, the chief reluctantly ordered the SWAT team to sneak in through the vault. What the SWAT team didn't know was Wei had already done his homework. He knew the bank's layout like the back of his hand. He'd already prepared for this moment. He was keeping an eye on every move the SWAT team made in the vault through the monitors. Then, he decided to shut down the vault's airflow. Without any air circulation in the vault, the SWAT team quickly started struggling to breathe. Thankfully, right before they were about to suffocate, Wei opened the vault door just in time. The SWAT team burst out, scrambling and gulping down air. And just like that, they got tagged as casualties. The standoff dragged on until nightfall. The cops had no clue how to rescue the hostages. At first, just a handful of media outlets covered the story. Now, the story has blown up, catching nationwide media attention. Inside the bank, they hadn't had anything to eat all day. The hostages were freezing and starving. The woman who had been knocked unconscious earlier was back at it, fighting back. She started yelling furiously at Wei. Wei lost his temper. He shoved her into a corner. And then, out of nowhere, he started doing push-ups. Everyone was baffled. What the heck was Wei up to? It wasn't until he physically marked the hostage as violated. That's when it finally hit everyone. And just then, a pregnant woman was literally going into labor. Panic mode activated. Wei was left with no choice. He had to call off the drill. An ambulance was called to rush the pregnant woman to safety. Finally, the chief managed to confront Wei face to face. This was supposed to be just a drill. Why the hell did you turn it into this disaster? Well, didn't you tell me to take it dead seriously? If you wanted to stop it, you could have just given me the order. The chief glanced at the teller holding the sign. Being the boss, there's no way he'd lower himself to beg his staff. All he could do was fake it. Make sure you give me your best performance. Either way, at least now there's one less hostage. You could say the situation's starting to crack. Chief, what on earth were you thinking? If these were actual robbers, they'd never let a hostage walk away. I'm letting a pregnant woman go now. You have to trade her for another hostage. The chief couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. But then, he smelled an opportunity coming his way. Since he knew there wasn't any real danger, with the whole nation watching live, now's the time. This was his ultimate chance to shine. He stepped up, bold and ready. I volunteer as the hostage. But Wei is stubborn to the core. No way he could have guessed the chief's plan. He went ahead and picked a TV station cameraman. That was a pretty smart move. And here comes a guy lugging a camera. The hostages in the bank started behaving a lot better. They started caring about their looks and went along with the drill. Even though Wei took his role as the robber super seriously, he was still a soft-hearted guy deep down. He spotted one of the hostages looking feverish, so he handed over his own jacket to them. The hostage put on Wei's jacket and stepped out to grab water and take meds. The SWAT sniper, already lying in wait, spotted it immediately. Finally, a weak spot. The robber made a mistake. The sniper decided to use fake bullets to take out the robber. The commanding officer outside ordered the sniper to fire. They were sure both shots landed right on the head. Turns out, they had shot the hostage, the one wearing glasses. The reporter wasted no time updating the story live. So far, the death toll has climbed to 8. Because of police error, an innocent hostage was tragically shot dead. Things are just going from bad to worse. If this isn't just a drill, then they've accidentally killed a random civilian. They need to get the hostage out, fast. The cops are about to lose face, big time. And then Wei stepped in with a demand. Sure, I'll release the hostage. But I'll need a bus first. Oh, and I'll need a ship waiting at the port. I'll take the hostage and head to the port. As soon as I board the ship, the hostage walks free. The cops realized if he actually boarded the boat, the entire exercise would be over. But it would also mark a total failure for the police. The cops didn't answer right away, because they were busy weighing their options. And soon enough, Wei went ahead and shot the cameraman, declaring that every 10 minutes without a bus, he'd kill a hostage. And yep, another one bites the dust. The media rushed to cover the chaos. And with public pressure mounting, the cops had no choice but to give in to the robber's demands. A bus pulled up. The hostages quickly jogged onto the bus. The cops didn't dare make a move. Since the hostages were barefoot and carrying umbrellas, there was no way to tell who the robber was. Once the bus drove off, all they could do was follow it. At the port, the hostages all got off the bus. Not a single robber was on the bus. Only then did the chief realize they'd been completely played. Turns out, Wei never left the bank in the first place. He pulled off a classic decoy move to get everyone distracted. He sneaked into the vault and hid. He left a stunning female teller behind as his hostage. When the timing felt perfect, he decided to make his move and bolt. But then, oops, he accidentally knocked over a file bag. And inside? Suspicious checks and shady transfer records. Wei grabbed the files and took off. He took the woman hostage, jumped in a car, and sped off. But in the end, the cops caught up to him before he could get away. He realized there was no way out. But it didn't matter anymore. 8 people were already dead. 1 had even been assaulted, and the police were utterly humiliated. In a twisted way, his act as the robber was kind of a success, right? At this point, there was no turning back. A real pro wouldn't let the cops catch him. So Wei shot the hostage, then turned the gun on himself. The chief was beyond furious. He had no words left. It looked like his image was beyond repair now. And there, lying on the ground, Wei and the woman shared a knowing smile. All thanks to one absurd drill. He actually managed to win the girl's heart. The next morning, the chief was still stewing in frustration. His secretary walked in with evidence from Wei. Turns out, these shady checks and transfer records were the smoking gun for the mayor's corruption scandal. Wei had previously worked in the investigation unit. He had long suspected something was off about the mayor, but he just couldn't nail down the evidence. The mayor caught on and reassigned him to traffic patrol. Wei handed the evidence to the chief. The mock ticketing drill was meant to embarrass you. At the end, he delivered the key evidence. And, for some reason, he ended up helping you get promoted. Wei drove the chief nuts. It was both painful and oddly satisfying. He kept the promise he made before the drill, and gave a reward to the drill's top performer. Wei was transferred back to the investigation unit. And so, this story of living boldly wrapped up. A top-tier dark comedy film. The humor hits the perfect spot. The plot might not feel groundbreaking today, but hey, this movie came out back in 2007. For that time period, it was definitely seen as a brilliant concept back then. The story unfolds so seamlessly. It made me forget about time while watching. Highly recommend checking out the original film. Don't forget to hit follow. Catch you next time.